Sultan Light English worship. You remember our last year's Christmas celebration? Do you remember? Yeah. I think we had a dress code. Who remembers what it was? You remember the dress code that we had? Anybody? We were to wear in which color? Red. We were to wear a Christmas color which is red, green, and gold. Yeah? So if you see the photos that we took last year, most of the members wore in red, right? Remember? Or at least they were wearing red socks, red scarf, or even a red pin. I remember that. So these dress code is, it kind of gives us a hint what the party is for, right? Here. Now, this is a royal wedding invitation. I know you can't see it that well. Is this working? Can you hear me well? Yeah. Okay. This is a royal wedding invitation, and if you see here at the bottom, it's written a dress code. And for the royal wedding, the dress code is for men to wear uniform or a lounge suit or tuxedo. For women, they have to wear a day dress with a hat. Okay? Now, these are the guests for the wedding, Prince Harry and Meghan. This is the wedding guest, how they dressed up. Okay? Women wearing hat and dress, men in tuxedo. William and Kate Middleton. Do you recognize them? Beckham couple? Beckham and Victoria, they are also wearing, according to the dress code, hat, dress, tuxedo. And these are the royal families. They are wearing definitely a hat. Very unique hat. I don't know where they can buy these things, but they're wearing them. Okay? Likewise, it's very important, even in secular wedding, there is a dress code, and it's so important to follow, wear properly according to the dress code. Now what happens if they don't, if the guests don't wear according to the dress code? What happens? They cannot attend the wedding. Have you seen the guests wearing jeans? No, right? They were rejected. They cannot attend the wedding. That's how it is. So in the party, dress code is very important, and you have to follow according to the dress code. Now, today's sermon, the passage talks about a dress code for the heavenly banquet. And the passage is from Matthew 22, 8 to 14. Okay, if you're ready, we will slowly read it all together, okay? 1, 2, 3. And then he said to his servants, the wedding banquet is ready, but those I invited did not deserve to come. Go to the street corners and invite to the banquet anyone you find. So the servants went out into the streets and gathered all the people they could find, both good and bad, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came to see the guests, he noticed a man there who was not wearing wedding clothes. Friends, he asked, how did you get in here without wedding clothes? The man was speechless. Then the king told the attendants, tie him hand and foot and throw him outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are invited, but a few are chosen. Now, according to the passage, Jesus teaches his disciples in parables what the kingdom of heaven is like. It's like a king preparing a wedding for his son. Okay, so the king sent out his servant first. and invite all the guests. But first, the guests refused to come. So once again, he sends out his servants and urged them to come. But this time, the guest ignores them, refuses, and they went off to their business or to the fields, So again, the king sends out the servants. And this time, some evil guests, they decide to kill the servants. And the king got really mad, furious, and the king decides to send his army to kill all the murderers and destroy the whole city. And then, still, the party has to go on, continue. Okay? So he sends, again, his servants and say, go out to the streets and invite anyone to come to the wedding banquet. So the wedding hall was filled with guests, good and bad. Okay? And finally, the wedding started, the feast started, and the king noticed that there was this one man who was not ready, who was not prepared in wearing according to the dress code. And he said, why? How on earth did you come here? And why didn't you wear the wedding garment, wedding clothes? And it says, he was speechless. Speechless. Okay. Now what happened to this man who did not wear according to the dress code? He was tied hand, foot. He was kicked out into the darkness. That's what happened. Now here's my question. Why was this king so harsh on this man? What did he do wrong? He just accepted the invitation and came, right? But the king's reaction was a little bit harsh, wasn't it? He was kicked out into the darkness. And let's see why he responded that way. The table is here. The king, there is a purpose. The king had a purpose to prepare the banquet. Okay? His purpose was to honor his beloved son. Okay? The reason why he opened the party, opened the banquet, wedding banquet, was to honor his son. And the way to do that is having all the guests wearing the wedding clothes. Okay? But this man came. How did this man think of the banquet? Probably he didn't think anything. He didn't think of the king's intention. No, he didn't think anything. Probably he came to enjoy the free food and drink and enjoy all the fun. Okay? Probably he came, okay, in a casual way. Or maybe he heard the rumors, what happened to the guests who refused or who killed the servants. They were all destroyed, right? They were killed and destroyed. Probably he heard the rumor. And maybe out of fear, he came. Oh, if I refuse the invitation, maybe I will die like them. So out of fear, maybe he came. But the important thing is, it doesn't matter what his intention was. He came without the wedding clothes. He came unprepared. That's the most important thing. And the king was furious because the man came without any preparation. Okay? He was not dressed up according to the dress code. Okay? That means something. What does it mean? It means that he ignored the king's intention of preparing the banquet, the wedding banquet. He had a disregard for the king and also for the son. He had no intention to honor the son. Okay? He did not come to participate in the joy of the king and the son. He didn't think that way. And he came without thinking. He just came. And that made the king so furious. Okay? Now, about the wedding clothes. Then what is the wedding clothes? Okay? It says, if we look in the Revelation, it talks about the last days. The last day, God will prepare a wedding banquet for his son, Jesus. And the church, who is the bride, okay, he will prepare a wedding garment for the bride. And it talks about that. In Revelation 19:8, it writes, fine linen, bright and clean, was given to her to wear. Fine linen stands for the righteous acts of God's holy people. This is what will happen in the last days. When we go to heaven, there will be a banquet. God will prepare a banquet to honor his son Jesus, right? And we are all invited as a bride of Jesus, wearing a white linen garment. And what will be that? Well, and we have to wear that. Okay? If we want to participate in the joy, we have to wear the wedding clothes. Then, isn't it vague in a way? What is a righteous act? Okay? How can we prepare ourselves wearing this wedding garment? What is a righteous act? What does it mean? Okay? Let's go further. A righteous act according to Isaiah 58, 7 and 8. Okay? Shall we read it all together? 1, 2, 3. Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter when you see the naked, to clothe him and not turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your righteousness will go before you. Okay? In Isaiah, it talks about righteousness, meaning to help those in need. Okay? As I was reading and meditating on these verses, it reminded me of North Korean refugees. I couldn't take that out of my mind because aren't they our own flesh and blood, the same people? North Korean, South Korean people. Although I don't know them, but they are the same flesh and blood. And they are in great need. We've heard this, right? Many years, for many years. But we don't really know them. We don't know how to help them. We don't know their needs, right? And it reminded me of the North Korean refugees, and we do have a responsibility, a calling from God to help these people in need, okay? Now, this is an annual thing. In our church, we open an annual seminar about the unification of Korea, okay? And soon, from next week, we will have this seminar every week, as I know. This is a seminar about the unification of Korea. For four weeks, every Thursday night from 7:30 to 9 o'clock in our church, 3rd floor, Jerusalem Hall, we will invite special guest speakers who will share about what it means for a biblical concept of unification of Korea. Okay? We need to know. If we want to help them, we need to know what we're talking about, what kind of unification that we want, right? And the schedules are from 13, 20, 27, and July 4th. Okay? And also, next week, 4 o'clock, for 2 weeks, there will be also a sermon and also guest speakers about North Korea, about testimonies of North Korean refugees who became a pastor's wife, and she will be testifying about the life in North Korea. Okay? And things that we could do as a Christian to help our own flesh and blood in North Korea. Okay? So I guess living a righteous life is like preparing our wedding garment. Okay? And righteous act is for specifically, I'm not saying this is it, but I'm saying it's one of them. It's one of them will be helping out our own flesh and blood, the North Korean refugees. Okay? Church, we need to take the initiative to help the North Korean church, the North Korea underground churches, Christians there, okay, and also the refugees who's wandering around seeking asylum to the third country. Okay, we need to take interest. We need to pray for them. We need to know them so that we can help them, those who are in need. And I believe that this is one way to prepare ourselves for the wedding, okay, in the last days. Okay, amen? All right, let's pray.